Lake Ohrid was a mirror of history, reflecting centuries of red-tiled roofs and silent monasteries. For Marco, 18 and restless, the town felt like a beautiful cage of ancient stones. He watched the morning mist rise from the water, wondering if his future lay across the mountains or within the quiet, rhythmic pulses of the valley he had always called home. He sought out his grandfather, Jovan, whose workshop smelled of cedar, beeswax, and history. Jovan was an icon carver, his hands gnarled like the roots of the ancient chestnut trees. He didn't look up as Marco entered, merely gesturing to a block of dark walnut wood that needed smoothing for the Easter feast. There was no need for greetings. The work spoke for both of them. Jovan explained that Easter wasn't just about the date, but the preparation of the heart. He picked up a small mallet, tapping gently against a half-finished carving of a saint. He told Marco that a man must find the grain of his own soul before he can hope to shape his life. The rhythmic tap-tap-tap of the mallet echoed the heartbeat of the waking city outside. Together, they began to carve the traditional Son of Regina onto a heavy wooden bowl meant to hold the dyed eggs. Marco followed Jovan's lead, his young, steady hands learning the patience required to work with the stubborn wood. The friction of the carving warmed their palms, a shared heat that bridged the 60 years between the man and the boy. On Good Friday, the workshop turned into a place of color. Marco was tasked with gathering the natural ingredients for the traditional dyes. He crushed dried madder roots into a fine powder in a stone mortar, the dust staining his fingers a deep, earthy crimson. This was the color of the earth, he realized, and the color of the traditions that kept the town's spirit alive through the ages. Saturday morning brought the scent of kozyak bread wafting through the narrow, winding streets. Jovan led Marco to the old brick oven in the courtyard. They worked together to braid the heavy, sweet dough, tucking raisins and walnuts into the golden folds. Jovan insisted that the braid represented the unity of the family, separate strands brought together to create something stronger. As midnight approached, the mountain air turned crisp and biting. Marco walked the steep stone path toward the monastery of St. Naum, the peacock's cries echoing in the darkness. He felt a strange gravity, pulling him toward the light of the church. In his pocket, he carried a single red egg he had dyed himself, its surface polished with oil until it shone like a ruby. The monastery courtyard was a sea of people, their faces flickering in the shadows of the holy night. When the priest finally announced Christos Voskrese, the cry of resurrection, Jovan turned to Marco. The old man's eyes were bright with joy as he tilted his lit candle toward Marco's. The flame jumped between them, a living light passing from one generation to the next. Back at the house, the Krskanje began, the traditional battle of the eggs. Jovan challenged Marco, holding his dark-stained egg firmly between his thumb and forefinger. "May the strongest spirit win," the old man challenged with a wink. They tapped their eggs together, a sharp, clear clack that rang through the small kitchen like a celebratory bell. Marco's egg had cracked, but as he stood on the balcony, he felt a sense of victory he couldn't quite explain. The first light of Easter Sunday touched the snowy peaks of Mount Galicica, turning the lake into a basin of liquid gold. He realized the lake was no longer a cage, but a starting point. He was ready to face the year, grounded by the wood and the flame,